Sonic Universe Issue 55 Reboot. We start out with Blaze on a pirate ship with Marine and a bunch of koalas, and Marine's being just as annoying as in the game, rather than the writer learning his lesson from the game. You know, when people wanted more stories from Blaze and Archie Sonic, what they wanted was to see her adventures traveling dimensions looking for the Soul Emeralds, since apparently they were scattered all across the multiverse. So it actually would be a lot more interesting to see her explore a parallel universe, but instead she's in her dimension of all other places in the multiverse, which just isn't as creative. Although it is nice to see the Soul Dimension again, but it would be even more interesting to see an alternate universe version of the Soul Dimension, like one where Blaze is evil. And the narration by Blaze tells us that she's scoured her world and others in her search for the Soul Emeralds, as apparently she's enough of a bad guardian that she needed to do that, and only one remains to be found. Yeah, her world and others, like I just said. How did they screw that up? She references Worlds Collide because somehow she remembers that when it never happened. And Marine's mean to the koalas because their cannon shots missed the pirate ship. And it just so happens that after the Genesis wave hit, the past of their worlds was rewritten so that fate conspired to have Amy and Cream with Blaze at this point, just so that we could have the story arc. I guess in universe, when it comes to the actual past, they got here from the same reason that Sonic got to Blaze's world in Rush Adventure, but it was just as confusing there. So there's no excuse for not bothering to explain this. I would never write the story without immediately explaining how they got to the Soul Dimension. At least explain the whole premise of the story. At least Penders showed us Sonic going to a portal to get to Scourge's world. Amy tells Cream to get down below where she'll be safe, which is considerate of her, but also demeaning to her worth. And Cream says she'd be ashamed to hide that much during a battle, and acknowledges that she's cowardly enough to hide anyways. This is embarrassing to her character, honestly. I don't remember her being a complete coward in Sonic X. And we see Amy hitting away a cannonball with her hammer, and sending it far away. She was very lucky to have hit it accurately. How fast do cannonballs travel? We're told by the narration that in the week since Worlds Collide, they've helped Blaze track down the last Soul Emerald to this location. Blaze says that Amy's right, and then Cream flies while carrying Blaze to keep her from being killed by a cannonball. So she was necessary after all, and she fortunately thanks her. Blaze's narration then tries to explain that Amy and Cream were called to her by the Soul Emeralds. Logically, why them of all people? Did the Soul Emeralds psychically know that everyone more competent than them was too busy? Like Sonic? Good thing these non-sentient emeralds were able to find out who was busy and who wasn't from another universe. If they were sentient, they would have gone insane from the boredom of not being able to do anything, and been too evil to care about wanting Blaze to find them, because nothing would matter to them anymore except not being bored anymore. They would have just wanted her to destroy them to put them out of their misery. This is such a overly convenient explanation for how they got here. We could at least see them be teleported here, to have a proper beginning to the story instead of starting out media res, which is always a bit detaching to the audience. Blaze thinks that if she fails to retrieve the Soul Emerald from the Blackguard pirates, her world will fall. I guess the pirates deluded themselves into thinking that this wouldn't happen because of special snowflakes, because you'd think this kind of arbitrary bullshit would be public knowledge. Also, you'd think a lot of people would be calling Blaze out on what a colossal failure she is to have somehow been separated from the Soul Emeralds, which apparently are so clingy that they throw a tantrum and destroy the entire planet if they aren't all together with Blaze, and yet are somehow also merciful enough to wait to do it. It's so arbitrary, and it doesn't work as adding tension because we all know her dimension will never be destroyed anyways. Also, there's a continuity error with Archie Sonic here, proving Archie Sonic isn't canon to this. We were clearly told that the reason her world was in danger of being destroyed was because the Soul Emeralds were not on her world. This Soul Emerald is on her world. There should be no danger. So obviously the rules have changed, and it's not like she's angsty about the fact that she has completely new memories. Like, she's got a completely different past now. Which is weird, come to think of it. It's like she's had a completely identical past. Somehow the Genesis wave hasn't changed her life at all. And so she hasn't even noticed the reboot. That's weird. Blaze tells Marine to bring them in close so she'll board her. It's annoying that she didn't just say it. The pirate ship doesn't look like a her at all. It's even black and badass. It would be he if anything. Blackguard Pirates is at least a cool name for a villainous team. But considering that they're robots, you'd think they would get a name that makes you think of robots. Instead, it's just kind of a generic badass pirate name. Marine has no faith in her, even though she has fire powers and no one else does. So if Logic was in this story, she would have effortlessly killed all the pirates by herself. Even Amy has no faith in her. She tells them off for it. Amy pushes her to save her, and Blaze apologizes and says that she put them all in danger. Then out of nowhere, Amy magically changes her mind and decides to humor her just because they almost died. She should have at least explained that Amy's needed to stay on the ship so she can keep hitting away the cannonballs to keep the ship from sinking. Logically, she would have missed a lot of her swings, if not all of them. But I guess she's had a lifetime's worth of experience playing baseball. I doubt the writer thought of that. Also, I guess she's swinging with super strength so that she can be powerful enough that her hammer swing will actually hit the cannonball away, instead of the cannonball just blasting straight through her mallet and destroying it, and leaving her useless. Marine finally points out that the cannonballs look more like bombs than actual cannonballs. Wait, if they were actual bombs, why didn't they blow up like bombs tend to do and destroy their ship immediately? That's dumb. The ship gets attacked, Amy hits away another bomb. This is so repetitive. It's literally just the same thing over and over. And Cream says it was nice of the pirates to stop shooting at us. It should be explained why they actually stopped. Like, they ran out of ammo. How stupid is she? Blaze thinks that if she sinks the ship, diving for the emerald in a sunken wreck would be too dangerous. This wouldn't be more dangerous than having to face people who want to kill her. Logically, she would just sink the ship and then come back with scuba gear if she's even considering killing all of these people. So the only reason she's deciding on this is meta logic, that her sinking the ship would make her look evil. We weren't told that she's on such a strict time limit that she wouldn't have the time to come back with scuba gear and get the soul emerald back. She thinks that no one on the ship deserves mercy, but then she sees Bean and decides she was wrong just because he's organic, I guess. Despite his annoying dialogue that's desperately trying to be funny just to be funny. She tells him to stay down and keep quiet. I guess because she doesn't know him, except she does because she wonders if the Babylon rogues will show up next. Again, this is why the reboot idea sucks. Why didn't we see her meet the oh right, so she remembers Treasure Team Tango? Wow, that story arc's so forgettable. I completely forgot about that. I guess because it's so overwhelming how many characters she actually met in that story arc. So that's the only pre-reboot memory she remembers? Our time is wasted as Marine can't fire fireworks as a weapon for some reason. And then even Bean doesn't know how he ended up with these pirates. It's so stupid that the pirate captain has to talk as stereotypically as possible, just because that's how the pop culture thought that's how pirates talk. But it will make sense, as we'll see later. He says that he thinks the uninvited guest is Blaze, and Bean's an idiot. And then after Bean likes the idea of getting a shiny jewel because she mentioned it, it turns out that he's with the pirates. So he smartly let her think he was their prisoner earlier. At least he had to have been doing it to make a smart plan. If he was really such an idiot, why didn't he stupidly tell her that he was with the pirates the first chance he got? Not seeing anything wrong with it at all. I think Rouge liking shiny jewels is a lot more charming than Bean liking them. She surrounds herself with fire and threatens to kill him, and Marine panics about the ship sinking. This story is so boring, I'm really rushing through it. The pirate captain reveals that he lied when trying to humor Blaze, as the heroes get threatened by a giant laser gun that Cream's stupid enough to think is just for show. And predictably, their ship does get fired at after Marine's unbelievably stupid enough to think that wouldn't happen. Blaze gets angry, being a badass, and if Logic was here, she would have instantly killed everybody with her fire by surrounding herself with it, instead of taking a million years. Or if we were forced to be kid-friendly, she would have covered everyone in soot from the burns, then easily gotten out of here. Swimming away, because apparently a cat could do that just fine. Not to mention they're all robots, so who cares if she destroys all of them? They could be rebuilt. But instead, the story becomes absolute complete garbage, as she's idiotic enough to be knocked out effortlessly like a pathetic damsel in distress. You would have thought they would have learned from the negative fan reception to the last time this happened. At least I assume there was negative fan reception. Why wouldn't there be? She's basically just written like Sonic X Knuckles. Tracy Yardley wrote this crap, but it was written just like a Flynn story anyways. Characters being unbelievably stupid, to the point where Blaze gets knocked out and effortlessly kidnapped when she had no possible chance of not winning with her overpowered fire powers. Logically, this wouldn't have gotten the chance to be an entire story arc. It'd actually make more sense if literally anyone else was kidnapped, like Marine or Cream. It's basically just the heroes waste a bunch of time fighting with a pirate ship, with Amy sending away its cannonballs somehow, but it's all pointless because Blaze gets herself freaking kidnapped. They sure did have a lot of dialogue padding out such a basic and repetitive story, but the dialogue is really just there to fail to make you laugh while you take forever because there's barely any plot developments or anything in them. Amy, Cream, Bean, and Bark are all in a dimension where they don't belong in because of a contrived coincidence. Bean and Bark being here cannot be explained by the Soul Emeralds calling them because they had no reason to want these criminals here. It's just a glitchy side effect of the Genesis wave rewriting reality, which makes as little sense as the Ultimate Annihilator's side effects because it's not like it was programmed so that this would happen. It's not like it was made so that Bean and Bark spent their whole lives here. Oh no, them being born in the Soul Dimension would have been an interesting hook that made the reboot more marketable. So we can't have that.